Dragii mei, bine ați revenit la Mandachi Television pe canalul de YouTube Ștefan Mandachi. Înainte să încep interviul extraordinar de astăzi, vreau să vă fac o scurtă introducere. Anul trecut am organizat un seminar de business, de dezvoltare personală, de motivație, de visuri. Înainte de seminar m-am întâlnit cu un bun prieten, Marius Păslariu, în Dubai. Și el mi-a spus așa: domnule, am să-ți fac un cadou foarte important. Despre ce e vorba? Îl întreb. O carte monumentală, fabuloasă. Cunosc un om, îmi spune el, Marius, cunosc un om care a întâlnit 20 de miliardari. 20 de miliardari în euro? Îl întreb eu, da, 20 de miliardari în euro. Și Marius a început să-mi povestească ce a învățat de la cel care i-a întâlnit pe cei 20 de miliardari. El mi-a spus atunci că șansa să întâlnești un miliardar coincide cu șansa de a câștiga la Loto, 6 din 49. Și atunci zic, wow, incredibil. Omul ăsta a cunoscut 20 de miliardari, vreau să-l cunosc, ajută-mă să-l cunosc. A trecut un an de zile, acum sunt în Dubai cu Marius, dar mai important decât Marius, acum este Rafael Badziag, autorul acestei cărți. Hi, Rafael.
Hi, it's nice to meet you.
Thank you for this interview. What are the chances to meet a billionaire?
If you go to the street and you want to meet a billionaire, like 1 in 5 million people is a billionaire in the world on average. So it's like similar to winning a main pot in national lottery, right?
1 in 5 million?
1 billionaire, 1 in 5 million people. Right.
Who was the first one who met? Who was the first billionaire you met? How did you feel?
The first one I met, I was actually, connected to the richest guy in Poland.
Okay.
Through several steps, and it wasn't an easy task, as you can imagine. So the people, they have like armies of people around them, and different, so to say, stages of management and so on. It's difficult, to get to them personally, and then to convince them to participate in your project. It's even more difficult. But at some point, in my life, when I realized I wanted to talk to or learn from the very best people in business. Mm-hmm. And I got a phone number from a friend, to a guy who several years earlier, worked in a company that was owned by that billionaire. He wasn't like direct contact to that billionaire, but this was something, right? And the task was to call him and convince him to get somehow connected to the billionaire and then to interview the billionaire. But when you have such a huge project in front of you, you actually hesitate. You procrastinate. You just take time, and you are paralyzed by fear and so on. Fear of rejection, whatever. What happens if it fails and whatever. So it took me several weeks actually to do something about that. And in that time, I don't know if your viewers know the method, but I was into personal development, and I was reading books by Jack Canfield. Mm-hmm. And Jack Canfield wrote a very nice book. It's probably also translated into Romanian. Mm-hmm. It's called Success Principles. And one of the principles was to produce so-called promise cards. So if you have a big goal, like something that really scares you and you're not sure if you will, realize that, if you will act on that, you produce cards. Mm-hmm. When you write your promise, and I produce a card, I will write and publish a world bestseller with Jack Canfield by June of 2000, I don't know, 15 or 16, something like that.
Like in a dreams notebook or something like this.
But a card that you multiply, then you illuminate it, like in a plastic, cut it, and distribute among your friends. So it's like a promise to your friends. Okay. So they can make you accountable for that with, after half a year, after a year, what did you do about that, right? And and one of the cards I gave to that friend who gave me the phone number to this billionaire. I mean, not the billionaire, I mean, the potential contact to a billionaire. And I gave him the card, and this guy told me, look, I gave you a phone number, and you could actually act on that, and you're giving me some shitty paper here, some shitty, promise, do something, get
why you didn't
real.
Call him?
Yeah, why didn't you call him? So I realized, it's like nothing helps. I need to take action, right? And
So nothing happens without action.
Yeah, nothing happens. I mean, you can have the best plans, the best dreams or whatever. If you don't take action, nothing will happen, right?
And what did you do? You called him?
I called the guy.
The billionaire?
No, it wasn't a billionaire. It was like a potential contact. It was an employee, an earlier employee of a company that was run by a billionaire. So I called this guy connected me to another person, this guy connected to another, and this another person then was able to actually, set up an interview. And and this was my first billionaire, and he turned out, now he is the richest guy. At that time he was a billionaire, but now he is the richest person in Poland.
How rich?
I think around, right now, I don't follow it like daily,
Okay.
but it's like $4.5 billion. And the guy who connected me to him became actually right hand of this billionaire. I mean, he's a marketing guy, and he became my friend, my very dear friend, who now runs my company. He runs the foundation of that billionaire in Poland, and also my company in Poland. So it's like a nice, story, nice business friendship also.
When you met him, what did you ask him?
What
How
I
did you
ask him?
feel?
Yeah,
You were
it was
afraid?
it was my first interview, so I was pretty much stressed.
Okay.
And with the time it became easier and easier. But at the beginning, he was like half god for me, because the difference between a millionaire and a billionaire is huge, right? I mean, you can be a millionaire if you have, let's say, several restaurants, right? Or like, I have billionaires in my group now. I run a mastermind of billionaires right now. One of my billionaire friends, he has 3,000 restaurants, and the other one has 4,500.
And I have only 70.
Yeah.
I am very poor.
Yeah, so as a millionaire,
This
it's
is
like,
one of the differences.
Yeah,
I have
is
70 restaurants, and the billionaire,
It's a completely different scale, right?
3,000.
You have like, if you have one hotel, you are a millionaire, multi-millionaire already. A billionaire friend of mine, he has like 200 hotels. Or you have a factory, you are a multi-millionaire, right, with one factory. And the billionaires in my book, they have 400 factories, right? Or let's say a shop, supermarket, you are also a multi-millionaire if you have a huge supermarket. And a billionaire in my book, a Russian billionaire, he owns 20,000 supermarkets. So it's completely different, scale, and also completely different mindset. I mean, there's a huge gap in the mindset between a millionaire and a billionaire. Actually, I realized at some point of my life, I was a millionaire already at that point when I started to research that topic. I realized that actually as a millionaire, I am mediocre as an entrepreneur. It's like a normal performance. I mean, nothing special for entrepreneur in the States. Half of the people who, let's say, survived 5 years in business, they are, in business 5 years or longer without going bankrupt. They are millionaires, right? So, I mean, it's really an average performance, right?
so it's amazing you felt mediocre as a millionaire, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, in business, you want to actually, when you look up to people like Elon Musk and so on, you realize how much you can actually achieve and how much you can perform, right? And what you can create, right?
But I have a question. As humans, what's the difference between millionaires and billionaires?
I mean, there are, at first, we have to realize they are also normal humans, right? They have the vices, they have the maybe bad habits sometimes, and so on, and they are not perfect. And they are just extremely good in what they do, right? So this is one thing. But on the other hand, there is a huge, this was actually, the reason when I was researching that, I wanted to find out what in the personalities of the billionaires made them so extremely successful in business, right? We are not talking about general success in life,
Okay.
because you can define it differently. For some people, success is when they can, lie down and not do anything like all the day, and either spend time on the beach, whatever. But for some people, in business, we have a very simple definition of success, and this is net worth, right? So the value you have created in your business career. And so by that definition, the best entrepreneurs, the most successful people, are at the same time the richest people in the world, right? So billionaires. And so now when we come back to the question, what makes them different? So this was the topic of my book. So I found 20 areas of personality where there is a huge difference between, let's say, drifter.
Okay.
So drifters are, I describe people who just are unsuccessful in business. They just drift through the oceans of life without goal, and they are there where where the waves bring them. And then the next level are millionaires, so the averagely successful people in business, and then we have billionaires, the most successful people in business. Billionaires are generally world champions in the industries, you can say, right? And I often get, for most people, it's like out of the scale to be a billionaire or to think in these categories. And most people, at least in my, I'm an influencer also, so many comments ask me, why to become a billionaire in the first place? I mean, why do they need so much money, right? And the answer is they don't need so much money. They just want to be the best. It's the same as to ask the world champion in, let's say, in football, to ask him, why do you want to become a world champion, right? I mean, you could also go and kick the ball in the on the lawn somewhere in your town. You don't need to play football professionally or in Champions League, or then become a world champion. Of course you don't. But if you want, if you have the ambition to be the best, to have the best performance, to be the very best in what you do, then this is one of the motivations of being a billionaire, right?
Do billionaires work more than millionaires?
In the first 10, 20 years, they do, and most of the stories I have heard from them, it's like they work 24/7, and there is no, if you could now also come back to the definition of success. Many billionaires, for example, are jealous about regular people, because the regular people, they have time to go to vacation and spend time, a lot of their time, let's say, with family or with leisure. But at some point of life, you don't you want also to somehow have something from the things you have created. So maybe they don't spend that much time on leisure, but the quality of that is higher, right? If you have your own yacht, billionaire yacht, right? Then maybe it's just more fun to use that than to go to rent a kayak, right?
How do they change after they realize that they are billionaires, not millionaires? They change a lot?
No, not really. I don't think so. Some of them even, don't want to be described as billionaires because they don't see it as a, they don't see it in a monetary, in the monetary categories, right? It's like about the size of the business. They see it about the scale and not about, the net worth. And by the way, it's also another misconception. Billionaires, they don't have like billions of dollars in cash, because it doesn't make sense, right? The money is invested. So this is the value of the companies, right?
But everybody would ask, where are their money?
Mostly they are in, in the companies, value of the companies they have, right? And investments, even if they cash out from one company, they invest that money immediately in another business, because they are just driven by business. Between the transactions, they have a lot of cash, but usually maybe millions or several millions or several tens of millions of cash, just in the case for opportunities, whatever. But you know, I know also billionaires that you wouldn't say. I mean, if you would see them on the streets, you wouldn't say they are a billionaire. For example, Narayana Murthy from India, he still lives in a three-bedroom apartment that he had when he created his company in the 80s, right?
Why?
He still lives in the same apartment because he says, you know, I have created this huge company, I have created 6 other billionaires and 10,000s of millionaires in dollars in India, in one of the poorest countries in the world, and I provide work, high quality work, because it's a software company, the largest company in the world, Infosys, by the number of programmers. So I provide a high level jobs for 250,000 people, and then I actually then sustain over 1 million families, because you know, all of these employees, they have families. So if you count together, it's like over 1 million people that he has you know, like left from poverty in that huge country. And he says, you know, this is my actually my driver, what drives me, and not my personal wealth. The only wealth he allows himself is books, actually. I mean, the only luxury that he allows him is to buy books and to read books, a lot of books. But personal, like, you know, luxury, personal wealth is not very attractive for him, right? I mean, there is even an anecdote, you know, I go every year now in the pandemics, not anymore, but before pandemics, I used to go every year to Monaco. There is this competition, it's called World Entrepreneur of the Year, where the best entrepreneur in the world is chosen. So this competition they have been doing for maybe 12 years, 15 years. And Narayana Murthy was actually the winner of the first edition. So he was also chosen the best entrepreneur in the world in 2004, I think. And you know, there is this big gala at the end of the ceremony, because it's like a weekend event, 3 days, and at the end there is this huge gala, tuxedo, where you wear a tuxedo, black tie gala, so people dress up and go, you know, to that event. And he was the only guy who didn't wear the tuxedo. He had just a regular suit, and he was the winner, right? Oh. Apparently it wasn't his suit. He rented the suit, and when they asked him why did he rent the suit, why didn't he buy a suit, he said he was a billionaire at that time already, right? He said, yeah, because I don't need one, right? So for the event he rented, and he was the winner, right? So they are, you know, different. If you have a huge net worth, like, you know, you have created huge business, you are extremely wealthy, doesn't mean you have to live a luxury life or whatever, like spend that money. Like, this is another misconception that people think, that, you know, billionaires spend their life on yachts and private planes, and they don't do nothing. They spend time thinking how they could spend the money, but it's not the reality.
But do billionaires have lifestyle habits in common?
Some, yes, but for example, the relationship to luxury, it's not one of the common lifestyles, because they are billionaires who use their, you know, their wealth, yes, and they are billionaires who don't, right? But there are some, routines they have in common. For example, they get up at around 5-6 a.m. all of them.
Most of them?
Most of them, very early. Doesn't mean they sleep less, they just go earlier to bed, but they get up early.
Why they do this?
I don't think it's why, it's another way around. Because they do it, they were able to go that far in business. Because if you get up, I think, because if you get up early, you have time for yourself, and this is one of the reasons. Before they go to, you know, to the office and so on, they still have like 2, 3, 4 hours for themselves. Some of them go for a walk for 1 hour in the morning. Some of them do sports, like go jogging, whatever, depending on the age as well. Some of them really sit down and meditate, like this Indian meditation, whatever. Then they read a lot, right? So
let's create the portrait of a billionaire. First of all, they wake up early, okay, 5, 6. After that, They read.
Yeah, you know, the routines are different. So maybe you know, the sequence of the activities are different, but
Okay.
in general,
Yes, in general.
Like the parts of the routines is meditation, staying on themselves for some time, so having time for themselves to think, reading, like activity, like bodily activity. Yeah, that's the main things, right? That they use usually in the morning, right? And then they start, you know, working, right?
They make sports.
Yeah. First of all of them have bodily activities depending on the age. I mean, the intensity apparently depends on the age. But also, what is surprising, or was maybe not surprising, is that many of them, they were in competitive sports before they came into business. So like professional athletes and so on. And you could see that it really helps. I mean, sports help in business because it teaches you, you know, to win. It teaches you to lose. It teaches you like this discipline, that you need to be patient and not, you know, if you lose, if you fail, don't see it as, you know, don't blame others, like the blame is on you. I mean, it's your fault. You can do better next time, and so on. You can improve. Also, something like maybe if you come from sports, you like this competition, right? You like to compete with others, to measure yourself with others, and to try to, you know, to be the best. And this is important in business, right? Because, as I said, if you want to go that far, you have to outcompete your competition, right?
Many people would ask why billionaires continue the study process. Why do they read? Why they continue to self-educate?
Yeah, this is one of the, you know, of the things I have.
They have money.
I have, exactly. So people in general think, you know, if I have money, I don't need to do anything anymore, yes. Right? But this is why. This is one of the findings in my book, right? If you have this motivation for your business, if the motivation for your business is your personal luxury, to have money for your. If you have this mindset, if I will do business, then I have money, then I can rest and not do anything. At that time, you will not be able to go that far to the billionaires. I mean, you can reach that. I mean, it is a good motivation, maybe enough a motivation to become a millionaire. But then that motivation stops you on your development, on your business development, because, you know, with 20, let's say nowadays maybe 25 millions. You more or less maxed out your lifestyle, and you can add, of course, a little bit to your lifestyle, a small percentage, but you have to put in much more effort. And at that time, you just lose your motivation, if your motivation is just your personal luxury, personal lifestyle. So it is, again, the question is, why don't they stop? And the answer is, it's not why, it's because they don't stop, they go that far, right? If you just decide to stop, you stop, and you will not be able to reach that level, right?
Many people believe that the billionaires are arrogant people, that billionaires don't help the others. What can you say?
So there's a lot to say about that topic, because I get these comments. Yeah, a lot of hate. So first of all, I know. As of today, around 40 billionaires in person. So very nice people, not really not arrogant. They have to be protective, apparently, because usually if you have so much money, usually when people approach you, it's about money. They want money from you. This is so like 99%, maybe 99.9% of that. So they have to be just protective. They can't just give away money to everybody. It doesn't work. So there need to be some understanding that they need to, you know, they are not, they can't be that open to everybody. First of all, and the second of all, people always, the commenters, in general, in our society, apparently, they always know the best what to do with other people's money, right? They should care about their own money, not about the other people's money. I mean, what gives them the right to live from other people's money or to spend other people's money? And this is all also about politicians and so on, that they want to, take other people's money and they spend it in the way they think is the best for them. No, everybody should, earn their money themselves and spend their money. If somebody says, why let's say the person X, Y, whatever, a billionaire, this and this billionaire, why doesn't he spend on that and that cause? My answer is, you can spend on that, build $1 billion fortune, and you can do that. And so, if you think this is the right cause, do it, right? And on the other hand, billionaires, in my book at least, they are like most billionaires. They are also the largest philanthropists. So many people, I mean, like for example, Narayana Murthy, or like actually every billionaire in my book, right? Huge, they are not only like giving away money, they build huge philanthropic organizations with causes and so on. Let's say Özgün, a Turkish billionaire, a good friend of mine, built an organization in Middle East to teach the mothers to provide preschool education for their children, because there are nothing like that, like kindergarten in Middle East. And he helped 1 million people, 1 million families, or 1 million mothers to educate their children before they come to school, right? They give them the preschool education. So this is the magnitude of the activities, of the philanthropic activities of the people. And then if somebody says, he bitches around about billionaires, whatever, then I say to him, get serious, do something in your life to be able to help like 1 million people like Özgün does, right? And then you can criticize others, and not I don't do anything and criticize others, right?
You told one of my best friends, a Turkish billionaire, you made friends because you were like me.
Yeah,
simple.
Yeah. So at some point in that project,
you became friends.
Yeah. So I have several billionaire friends right now. I run an organization of billionaires, like 15 billionaires. We meet on regular basis. It's a mastermind. It's called 10-digit impact group. So with some of the billionaires, so the mission of that is to. Why is it called a 10-digit impact group? Because it's an organization of 10-digit individuals. If you count the digits, it's about billionaires, with the mission to improve lives of billions of people, right? So all of them are philanthropists. So we want to coordinate these activities and elevate the level of humanity, of wealth, of well-being in the world, right?
So, Rafael, I have a hard question for you.
Yeah.
As long as you met dozens of billionaires, why you are still a millionaire?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, you don't know if I have a goal to become a billionaire.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, first of all, the second thing, one of the things you learn in my book, even if you have that goal, let's say I have that goal, you can do everything right. You can do, everything, and you may still fail. And to accept that, this is the way also to become extremely successful. Because most people, they don't do anything, or they don't start great projects, because in order to become a billionaire, or let's say extremely wealthy, you need to do big things, right? Big projects. And most people don't start big and let's say risky projects, or projects that may fail because they are afraid to fail, right? And they never start before they are like 100% sure they will succeed. And this is one of the reasons why they always stay low, in small scale, right? So, second reason, the third reason is, it's not like you have the knowledge and you become a billionaire overnight. It needs time. Even the billionaires I have described, they spend half of their life becoming a billionaire. Maybe you may even run out of life, so to say, run out of time on the way there. But the thing is, you know, it's not about the numbers, it's about doing big things, right?
What are the regrets of these guys? They regret something?
I think they have less reasons to regret, right? Because they don't accept, like, you know, like rejection, they don't accept no, they go for their dreams, they do what they think is right for them and what drives them. So, you know, usually people, I would say, billionaires and non-billionaires, they regret the same things, but on different, like in different intensity, right? So people usually regret things they haven't done, right? Instead of those they did. And since billionaires have done so much and have achieved that much, there may be some opportunities they still regret and that they didn't take that opportunity. But in general, they have just less reason to regret things.
We have spoken about billionaires, but I want now to speak about you. Can you tell us the story of your marathon in desert?
Yeah, at some point, you know, I realized I got into personal development, and at some point I just wanted to find out how far you can go. I mean, how much you are able to perform, not only in business but also, you know, in physical activity. So I started running. At first, I ran a marathon run that I have prepared for in, like, let's say, in 3 months, and this already gave me some click in my head, because so it was a marathon, like 42 kilometers at first, right? And it was because, you know, you learn 2 things in when you run a marathon. At least it was for me. The first thing is that that if you think something is impossible, then it is in the first way or in the first moment only your thought. It doesn't mean it is really impossible, right? It's not the reality. It's only your, so to say, interpretation of reality, right? So, for example, coming back to my first marathon, like, if somebody told me, you know, you will run like 6 months earlier, you would run a marathon in 6 months, I would say you're crazy, it's not possible, right? But it turned out it was possible after 6 months. And the second thing that I realized was in that first marathon was that even if you are physically, it is physically not possible for you, because 6 months before it wasn't physically possible for me. I mean, if I started to run, I would drop dead, or maybe, you know, give up or get injured or whatever, not finish, right? But then you can actually prepare, right? I mean, you can start preparing for that, and I did like 12 weeks preparation for marathon, and at the end I ran it without any crisis. I mean, I finished it in actually faster than I planned. And this transition, that something was impossible for me physically, and it became possible by action, by doing things, by going in that direction. So this gives you something like this click. That, and then I had like, I just ran 1 marathon. Then I just wanted to do that at some point in my life, and I had a long break. Like 3 years not doing anything. I mean, not running, whatever. And then I read in a newspaper about a guy who ran like 100 kilometers through the Sahara Desert, and he won that run and so on. It was so amazing, so inspiring, and I found out he actually lives in the in the next village. I mean, close to my town, right? And I actually go jogging there sometimes, like once, twice a week, and I have never met that guy. I didn't know such a guy lives there, and so on. So I put in my head I want to run that race, right? And
how many kilometers?
100 kilometers
100.
through the Sahara Desert, in the
Through
desert.
Sahara. It's important.
I mean, it's because, you know, if
It's
you
not
run
here. Here is not
no,
Sahara.
no. I mean, if you
Much
go,
harder.
the difference between running in the dunes in the Sahara and let's say on the beach is so. I mean, I was training for that, for example, in Maspalomas in Gran Canaria, and they have like the largest dune in Europe. Actually, it's part of Sahara. I was training there. So if you come from the dunes to the beach, it feels as if you were running on the asphalt. But you know how difficult it is to run in the beach in the sand, right? But in the dunes, it's even harder. So it
yes.
just sucks out your energy. You do a step up, you slip down like 2/3 of the step, so you know, and then it sucks your feet into the sand, so it's difficult to get out. It's generally it's extremely, you know,
Hard.
power robbing and so on and so on. So one rule, and it doesn't apply only to sports, to every way of life. If you don't know how to do something, just ask somebody who did it, right? So what I did, I just called the guy who won that race several times already, and asked him, tell me how to prepare, right? And he said, what's your experience? And I said, well, I was running a little bit, and he said, yeah, marathons, ultra marathons, how much? And I said, I just ran one marathon 3 years ago, and he said, forget about it. Yeah. No, he didn't take it seriously, right? That I want to actually to prepare and so on. So, but I was pushing and pushing. Like third time I called him, he said, okay, we'll meet for a coffee. I'll explain to you. And the first thing he said was actually, you know, it's not as bad as you think, right? You can actually prepare, and he told me what to do. I mean, there is preparation, of course. I mean, mental, physical, and so on. It doesn't give you guarantee to finish whatever, but you can try. I mean, you can try your things.
Did he become your trainer?
No, not directly, but I was consulting with him, let's say, the trainings plan and the food, and of course equipment. Equipment is important, especially in the desert. You know, you have to have, for example, like this lights that you the flares that you in emergency flares that you put in the air in the case, because you know, if sandstorm happens, you can get lost. And there are these, you know, stories of people who were like lost in the desert for 6 days without food, without water. And this guy, this was another event, not our event, but another event. He wanted, you know, he was so done, he wanted to commit suicide. He cut his veins, and then they found him next day or several hours later, and he survived because he was so dehydrated that the blood didn't come out, right? And he survived. Yeah, but so these are there are quite many dangers. Actually, 2 weeks before that ultra marathon, at one of my, so to say, trainings runs, I was in Lake Boden in Germany. There was like for my conditions at that time, it was a short run. It was like 25 kilometers maybe, so it was like a light run for me. But at that run, I actually a guy died in that run, and he died in my hands. I was trying to reanimate him, and he died. So people die in these runs when you have, you know, problems with heart. So you have to, you know, go to a doctor. They don't allow, of course, people. They allow only people if you have if they screen your heart and so on and so on. So you have to be healthy apparently to finish. Nevertheless, okay, let's
continue.
The trauma. We started, and after they changed the route, because the route was supposed to be through sand, through dunes and so on, but then there was a sandstorm and they changed the route. So we were running through a terrain with such stones, like sharp stones, and it wasn't possible to run around them. You had to step on them. And
So running, no, not walking.
running. It's
Running,
like
okay.
run, right? I mean, you can
can walk,
walk, but the time runs, and you will run out of time, right? So and then I wasn't prepared for that because I was prepared for the sand track and so on. So after 15 kilometers, I started to have wounds on my, not only blisters. Now it was wounds on my soles.
I saw it was red with blood.
Yeah, after at the end, I wasn't able to walk for 2 weeks. I was just lying because it was inflamed, and it was like
So by kilometer 15,
you
you were full of wounds.
I had already wounds and like blood. It was like blopping in my shoes, and of course like when you have this inflammation, like you have damp feet, you can't really feel like, or with every step you can feel pain and so on. But this was only the first thing. Then after 30 kilometers, I was prepared, for like crisis, of course, like maybe after 60 kilometers, because in preparation I was running like up to 60 kilometers, 65 maybe. You never run the full distance in preparation, right? You go like 2/3 maybe of the distance. So I was prepared for crisis maybe at that point. But after 30 kilometers, I got my nerve in the spine got jammed, and I couldn't breathe actually, really. You can after this was 15. Then after 20, before that, after 20 kilometers, I had like 3 weeks before, I had a knee injury during the training. I just fell down and I injured my knee, and I want. It is always then a risk that it will renew during the race, and you won't be able to continue. So I got this knee injury after maybe 20 kilometers. So and then this jammed nerve. So I wasn't really able to run. I was like, hardly moving, whatever. Like, pain like hell, whatever. And I was considering actually, giving up at, let's say, they were like water points every 10 kilometers. So like maybe kilometer 30, I was considering giving up.
Okay.
But then I thought, okay, let's see, maybe I can manage to 40. Maybe it will get better, right? And we will see at 40.
Maybe I'll not die.
Yeah, and so I said, okay, let's continue. Then I at the kilometer 40, and by the way, if you are running, it's not only the sand that drops your power and your strength. It's also the heat, because there's like 40 degrees Celsius.
Oh my God.
In the shade, but there is no shade. You are always in the sun, right? And there is no possibility to lie down, for example, on the sand, because it's so hot. Like 60, 70 degrees, you would burn, right? So you can't just rest for a minute or whatever. You have to just continue, right? And so at the kilometer 40, I was already like inquiring, do you have because at that point you just think, the only thing I was thinking about is to get shower and to lie down, right? Because like to cool down with a shower and to lie down. So I came to that kilometer 40 and was asking, do you have like a doctor that would somehow get the stuff out of like my pain, back pain somehow, corrected. They didn't. They had a heart doctor. There was a heart doctor at that, but I didn't have heart problem. And they say, we can give you painkillers. And I said, no painkillers. Otherwise, I wouldn't feel what's going on with me. I would just drop down, right? But I was inquiring. They had a car at that point, so I asked. So and they were encouraging me to give up, right? And I was asking, do you have a car, aircon, and so on. They said, yes, we will bring you to the hotel and take shower. And but I decided. I said, now let's see. Maybe I can continue. So I started. I just continued, and after kilometer 50, I
Another
realized
10 kilometers.
yeah, now 10 kilometers, I realize, half of the race is behind me, so it's closer than 10 kilometer. Then you have the next, it's like always, you have the next point. In the desert when you run, you see always the next flag. There is no course, no road or whatever, but you see the next flag. Like the flags are every 500 meters, every 1 kilometer, it depends on the terrain. But you see the next flag and you just know, I have to reach the next flag, and then the next flag and the next flag. And at some point you just, you realize when it was like 42 kilometers, and now how perverse the thinking is, right? 42 kilometers to the end, I say, oh, now it's like the terrain I know. I mean, 42 kilometers I have run already. I mean, in the competition, even it's like a normal marathon, right?
You were looking for excuses.
Yeah.
To win.
So I continued, and the guy said to me, like on kilometer 70, at the water point, look, you will not manage the time, right? I mean, you will run out of time. And I said, no, it was actually at kilometer 80. 80. He said, you will run out of time. And I said, oh, really? I was measuring my time. I will manage. And he said, no, you will not manage. You would need to move much faster than you did. And I said, okay, then I will not manage, but I will finish. I don't need your medal, whatever. Your papers. I do it for myself. I just finish anyway. And he said, no, you're not going to finish, because we need to remove the marking from the route. And if you don't have the marking, you are lost in the desert, because it was at night already, and you have this lamp here, and you can see the next marking. And if you don't see the next marking, then you are lost, right? And so it was like at kilometer 80, and I said, look, but at kilometer 50, I asked you, if I run out of time, will you let me run to the end? And you said yes. And he said, well, I thought you meant the cut-off time at the kilometer 60, because there was like cut-off time at kilometer 60. If you didn't reach the time, they would remove you from the race. But I was good in time at that time. And I said, oh fuck, and what am I going to do now? Like 80 kilometers of ordain, of dying almost. And they tell you after 80 kilometers, no, sorry, I mean, we will remove you from the race, right? And I said, look, I just realized, I will have to run as fast as I run in a marathon or half marathon. And till that point, I was just, like stumbling all the time. And starting at kilometer 80 or 90, I started really like running like in a half marathon, with a half marathon pace. And I reached actually the finish line half an hour before the cut-off time, because below the limit. And in between, there was of course a lot of things in between. Like in these 20 kilometers, I suddenly, I realized I lost the light. I mean, it's like dark, and if you don't have the light, you don't see the reflection of the flag, and you don't know where to go, right? And it turned out I ran out of the batteries, and I had batteries, but I was prepared for that. Of course, you have to be prepared for everything, right? So I had batteries. I tried, but now try to exchange batteries in the lamp in complete darkness, right? And there are 4 batteries, and to get them right in the right direction and so on. So first of all, first thing, I lost a battery in the sand, in a dune. Now find this battery. I managed to find the battery, get it inside, switched on, and there is no light. And I said, oh fuck, what am I going to do now? And realized maybe turn them around. Then it worked, and then I could continue. But there is a lot of things that happen, right? At some point, as I said, I was wondering how is it possible that I am still moving and so on. So at the end, I finished, and most of the people gave up during the race, and they were, like, as I said, like high performance people, like, and from the people who finished, over 50% lost their consciousness, fainted during the race. One of the girls, she fainted 3 times and nevertheless continued and finished. And for example, a friend of mine, a German guy who ran, I think 7 Ironmans that year before that race. 7.
7 Ironmans.
7 Ironmans. When he finished, he dropped down. I mean, he lost his consciousness, and when I entered, I saw him, you know, lying like completely like white with this dry ice under the arms and so on. I didn't know if he wasn't moving, if he's alive or not, and so on. It, like, you know, after the finish line, when there was a finish line, and then it was a hotel. It was like another, let's say, oasis, right, in the desert. So in the entrance, in the lobby of that hotel, it looked like emergency room, right? Because there were like people running around unconscious and so on. And I finished with, you know, without losing my my mind, my consciousness. And the first thing I dreamed about was, of course, to take shower and to lie down, and I did. But the thing is, you are completely wasted. I was never so tired in my life, and I ran 3 ultramarathons before that already. But it was 111 kilometers. What it
111.
Was this
Not
one,
100.
this one was. It's called
The last 10 kilometers.
No,
meters.
100 was the first ultramarathon in the desert that I ran. But this one was 4th in the row. So this one was 111. The thing is, you know, you are so wasted, you can't actually sleep, because your body is in such a state like of agony, and everything, you have pain everywhere, like even in your hair, everywhere, and it takes time, like several hours till you calm down actually and are able to sleep.
Did you feel happy?
Happy, I would say maybe satisfied, or like proud. Proud is the right thing. Okay. And you know, one of the things that you experience after ultramarathons, I remember one ultramarathon in the mountains, like 80 kilometers through the summits of the mountains, and then at the end, after the finish line, I was going with a bus to the starting line where there was a party or whatever. And I was looking at the mountains and the mountain tops where I was running, and it took like 2 hours with that bus to come to the starting line. And I was wondering how was it possible for me to actually run through that distance and through this. So if you can, for me it was like this feeling of being proud. I mean, if you have that feeling, if you wonder how was it possible for you to achieve it, for me it feels like success. Then I feel like I managed to do something.
What did you learn in business from this experience?
Yeah, this is what I said. This is what you, if you think you can't continue, it's over. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean it's over. I mean, you can just.
When you think it's over, it's not over. In fact,
you need to persevere and to go further, and then you realize how much you could achieve and how easygoing your every day actually is, and you are just a small percentage, maybe 5% of your possibilities, of your potential, and you can achieve so much more if you just really perform, right? During the ultra, this one took me like 21 and a half hours of running, and I drank 20 liters of water during that. That is usually impossible during one day, right? But you have that level of performance. It's just you can do much more if you put yourself to that.
Don't you think you did risk too much?
No, I didn't. Perceive it as a risk, right? I mean, that's why
But you
cannot-
believe in risk.
Yes, I mean, what was my risk? I mean, my risk would be to. I mean, of course, maybe the bodily risk, but this is the reason why I didn't want to get any painkillers, any pills, because I wanted to know what's going on with my body. But the risk was to fail, not to finish, right? And this is the risk I gladly take before, you have failed already if you didn't start, right? If you don't take the risk, you failed already, right? I mean,
I have a curiosity. Do you know a billionaire who finished?
yeah, I mean, not like this. Actually, this was one of
And
my.
like this.
One of the reasons they wanted to talk to me, right? So, I mean, some of the billionaires, they didn't want the interview as long as they didn't find out I'm an ultra runner. Then they were more like, there is something to talk about, right? One of the billionaires, he did an Ironman. Some of the billionaires, they did marathons. So. But ultra marathons, this was something even for them, something that inspired even them. So, yeah, actually, this is, so to say, one of the secret sources of my project, right? If you want to deal with high-level people, you have to also provide some high-level experience, right?
But except this, what do you offer them to let you stand near them? You have to offer them something. What do you offer? Because people would ask,
Yeah,
okay,
right.
I'm a millionaire, why I'm not here?
Right now it's easy, right? Because I have this network of billionaires, so everybody wants to belong to that network, right? Right now it's easy. At the beginning, it of course needed some time to convince them. And I brought some assets to the project. Actually, I was talking about, at the beginning of our interview about Jack Canfield, who, I don't know if your viewers know him, but Jack Canfield is the most successful author in the history of non-fiction. I mean, the most successful non-fiction author in the history. 500 million books sold. 500, half a billion books. And I actually involved Jack Canfield into that project. I won his support. And he was part of that project. At the end, he wrote also a foreword for my book. So, if you come to somebody and say, to a world champion in something and say, we have a team and there is a world champion in something else, they are on par, or they can, you are acceptable, right? So if you have quality, you have to provide credibility. You have to provide something for them. There should be something in there for them, right? And so this is what you do. It's like business. Not people ask me, did I pay the billionaires for the interviews? Yeah, you're laughing, but you ask me that. Then I explain to them. Look, let's say Bill Gates. He makes 52 on average, 52 million a day, right? Like his net worth grows by 52 million a day, meaning $52 million, meaning 1 hour of his time is worth $2 million. So I would need to pay him for even if I had only 2-hour interview with him, I would need to pay him $4 million. I mean, it doesn't make sense, right? So, but there is also a different value. Value is not always monetary, right?